Laura Jones, and today I'm going to be talking about the movie On the Basis of Sex, which is available right now at your library. Now, a movie with the topic of tax law may not be one that grips you right away. However, it's actually the story, the origin story of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the second female justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, and it's about her landmark sexual discrimination case. So there aren't too many women in their 80s who can buy their face on a keyring, or they have t-shirts, dolls, memes with their image on them, even Pop Funko figurines. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg has become something of a cultural icon, and especially right now when you're hearing in the world the topics such as protest, rights, discrimination, more so than ever. This movie kind of harkens back to her original story about how important it was to confront discrimination and face that head on and stand up to it. So the film was written by Ruth Bader Ginsburg's nephew, and it focused on the case where she and her husband, now her husband is played by Armie Hammer, and RBG is played by Felicity Jones, and they're both outstanding in these roles. So a few other members of the cast include Kathy Bates, Sam Waterston, Justin Theroux, and they're all excellent. I really enjoyed watching them take on their characters and really play them to the fullest. So, back to the film. It was written by her nephew, and it's when she and her husband had established a tax law about caregivers' allowances discriminating against men on the basis of sex, hence the title of the movie, and it thereby really paved the way for overturning laws that discriminated against women on the same basis. So it doesn't trace like the full arc of her career, but it really focuses on this very first case that she argued in federal court in the early 1970s and the legal strategy that they developed. And as they're fighting for these rights and working through the strategy, you really realize, wow, these injustices were just so deeply ingrained that it seems perfectly natural. And so one of the very first things that you hear in the movie is the song, The 10,000 Men of Harvard. And that's what you see on screen. So it's a parade of males in dark suits marching through Cambridge. And in the midst of them is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, first-year law student, and only one of 9 women out of 500 students in her entire class. And it goes right into a dinner party. So she and some others are asked by the dean of the law school why they think they have the right to be there instead of men who should have been admitted instead. And the intention of the question is crystal clear. Harvard is no place for a woman. So the movie really goes through that topic and focuses on the different roles that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was kind of forced into in the early days of her career. So not only did she leave Harvard because she could not stay there and she couldn't take some time off and stay there, which is something that male students could do. So she was forced to finish out her career, her schooling at Columbia. And you right away see her as a feminist hero or heroine. And the movie evolves, though, and gets you to understand that, wait a second here. It was more about the support, the challenges that she faced, and how they were overcome, than more so focusing on these deep injustices that she could not move past. She sought out a way to make change. And so in the movie, we'll even see she and her daughter arguing about topics such as Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. And Ginsburg thinks he's a bad role model because he didn't exactly follow the letter of the law. And that encompasses her character. She's a hard worker, powerful mind, and understanding of the law. And her aim was really to secure equal treatment for both genders, but staying within the confines of the law itself. So she didn't want to just completely say, okay, it's this group and not the others. She wanted to be able to usher everyone in through the same door. And so the movie also understands that there are different ways to protest. And this is represented by RBG and her teenage daughter. And her daughter says, it's not a movement if everybody is just sitting. But RBG says, campaigning legal cases, that can be just as impactful and as marching in the streets. And you have to, kind of recognize all of those things together. And it was in that landmark case, that's how Ginsburg found her voice. And she really, it really showed why all this mattered so very much. And what's really great as well in the movie is that gender inequality that she was facing, you didn't see that in her home life. So not only was this the story of this important legal crusade, but it was also the story of a really extraordinary marriage. So her husband was also a student at Harvard Law School, but he was such a great partner and really shared in the tasks of the household and was extremely supportive of his wife in her journey. So he cooks the meals, he helps take care of their daughter, and he does not make his ego or ambition the center of the family's life. And what the movie really shows is it wasn't about ego and ambition. It was about rights, and it was about gender equality. And you really see those themes come through the movie, both in that portrayal from the legal side, but also in the partnership of the marriage. And it's really a lot about not so much dissenting, which, I know that's a phrase that people say is synonymous with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but it was almost more about an alliance. And that alliance in their marriage and partnership is really what caused that aha moment that allowed them to work through these really important legal strategies to come into the culmination of the legal case. So once RBG takes up this case and the movie becomes more about the arguments about gender, society, and the law, it shows how she succeeded and what an accomplishment that was. So the movie is really going to make you think and say, okay, I want to know more. I want to know more about this history. I want to know more about her personality. I want to know more about her later career. And this narrative is so great because it piques that curiosity. And there's just so much more to it. And you know that this is just a piece of a larger story, and it's completely unfinished. But what I loved about it is the perspective that it took, and that one single case on the basis of sex was a game changer for the future and has so many important ideas and so many different aspects are represented that we really need to keep in mind in today's world. I would highly recommend it. It's not only well acted and really entertaining, but it's a piece of history. And it's one that we need to hear and read about more than ever. So thank you so much and enjoy the movie.